the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution from Cowork 591 Studios. We are the Bohemian Reformation. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center podcast network with producer Blake Tempus, co-host Dale Rueber, and I'm Jim Gillespie. And this is the Jesup News for August 12th, 2024. Tonight we have an interview with artist in residence, our first artist in residence, Tim Kemmerer. We discuss if you can like and root for multiple teams. We give students 10 hacks to be better during the school year. Dale might have more than 10. We look at drone laws. We look at advertising events. We have the Jesup News. We have the weekly update and a closing. And the Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that has a vision for artists, young and old alike, to have the opportunity to better themselves while helping to build the skills of those around them. The long-range vision is to house a rural artist residency program, professional and emerging artists in all areas of the arts and the humanities. Artists will be offered accommodations and studio space in exchange for a contribution of labor and maintenance of the buildings and grounds. Tonight we're opening, and we're lucky to have the first artist in residence for the Steve Brown Arts Center, Tim Kemmerer. Tim is from Independence, and Tim is kind enough to join us. We'll get all the particulars about where you can follow him during the interview and have a chance to see his art. He brought some art with him. You can see that in the background. And welcome, Tim.
Well, thank you guys very much, Jim, Dale. Thank you very much for having me tonight.
I'm glad you could be here.
So tell us about your family a little bit, Tim.
I raised my family mostly in Cedar Rapids. My boys grew up there. My wife and I had two boys, Ryan and Matt. My oldest son, Ryan, he lives in New York City. And my youngest son, Matt, him and his wife and their son live in Cedar Rapids.
But both of those sons are tied to the arts a little bit as well.
They are very talented. I wish I had half their talents. Yeah. My oldest son, he doesn't do a whole lot of art anymore, but he's put out some beautiful paintings. My youngest son, he's been an artist since he was a little toddler, and he does phenomenal work.
Okay. So is he in the business, or?
He does a lot of custom athlete figures.
Oh, okay.
And so he does those mostly on commissions and things like that. He does do paintings too.
Sure.
He's quite the artist.
Oh, yeah.
You were telling me earlier that he has ties with professional artists professional athletes that ask him.
He does, yeah. There's a lot of professional athletes that have some of his work. A lot of college athletes. So yeah, it's pretty amazing the stuff that he's done.
So if you Google him, could you see some of those, you think?
He has a Facebook Facebook page.
What's his first name again?
Matt
Kemmerer.
Yes.
So we'll urge the audience to Google him.
Yeah, I think it's artwork by Matt Kemmerer is his actual Facebook page. So.
Okay. So, what did you do? You started art later on in your life. What did you do prior to your life as an artist?
Nothing. I have never been an artist. In fact, probably the last thing I ever painted up until I started doing these paintings was something I might have done in grade school that they would have had me paint. Funny story is, when I was in high school, I was not a good student. I'll be the first to admit. And I skipped a lot of classes. And one of the classes my senior year that I was required to take was art. And I went to the very first class and decided this is not for me, and I never went back. And on the last day of school, the seniors were to practice our graduation ceremony and then have all of our teachers sign this pink slip to get us to graduate. And my art teacher was the last one I had to ask. And he looked at me and he says, I just can't do it. And he says, I tell you what, he says, draw me a picture. And he put a vase and an apple, I think, out on a little shelf. And he said, I want you to draw that picture for me, and we'll see how that goes. And it was probably the worst drawing you could ever imagine. And he just shook his head and he says, I'll tell you what, he said, I'm going to give you a D- and graduate you. And And I wish now, and I actually became good friends with him later on through Facebook. And I wish now I would have taken his art classes, took them seriously. But you know, you don't know. You know,
Right.
All of us have those kind of experiences, I think.
Yeah.
where if we had just
Where did you graduate from high school?
Cedar Rapids Prairie.
And then what did you do for a job for the last?
I worked at a factory called Cryovac in Cedar Rapids. We made plastic bags for food packaging, like Butterball turkey bags and Hormel products and things like that. And I operated a printing press that printed the labels on those bags. But I worked there for 31 and a half years and unfortunately closed and moved out of the area. And but most of my life was spent there. So
you never think about that, but there's got to be some place where they make all those bags.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's just
it was a great place to work. We were, there was probably 350 employees there, but we were all very close.
Sure.
We had all been there for years together, and it was a nice place to work.
that's good.
So tell us how you got into painting, Tim. I mean,
It was kind of by mistake, accident. I don't know what you want to call it. This past Thanksgiving evening, I was sitting home by myself, just kind of bored, silly, and so I got on YouTube and was just looking at different videos of all different things, and one popped up that said this lady could teach anybody how to with 3 colors, black, white, and red, and she did a little demonstration of a painting, and I watched it, and I thought, well, I could probably do something like that. So I called a friend of mine up that I knew she had painted ceramic stuff and things, so I knew she would have some paint. So I asked her if she had those 3 colors and a couple brushes, and I went home and looked at the video again and did my painting. And I actually thought it was a terrible looking painting. It was most of it was done with Q-tips and tinfoil, dabbing it in the ink, and I still say ink because that's what I used at Cryovac all the time.
right.
But I showed it to my sister. She loves rainy days and things like that. It was a picture of a lady walking in the rain with an umbrella under all these trees. And my sister said, "That's really cool." And I'm like, "Well, it looks like a kindergartner did it." And she said, "No, that is really neat." And she posted it on her Facebook page, and a few of her friends made comments on it. And the next thing I know, I sold I gave the painting to my sister. But I sold a few prints to her friends, and then I did a couple more paintings, and people said, "Hey, those are nice, and are those for sale?" And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Well, that's going to be pretty encouraging to do one painting and people are wanting to buy it.
Yeah, it is. And I had several paintings done, and people said, "Well, you need to sell these at like a farmer's market or something." I thought, there's no way nobody's going to buy my paintings. And my gosh, it's just been unbelievable.
That's great.
I can't get over how well it's done for me. So
Now, you try to do local? I know it's like that is the mill. I'm assuming for an independent.
yeah,
it looks
I
like
had
it.
a lot of people ask me when they come to the market, because that's where we have our market at,
Sure.
is at the mill. And everybody says, "Hey, have you ever painted the mill before?" So I decided to tackle it, and that one is not for sale. What I'm going to do, there's a benefit for a young gal in Independence. That they're having an auction for money to help pay for her medical expenses. So I'm going to donate that to their auction. I was saving it for tonight so I
Sure.
can have it here, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to drop it off to them so they can have it for their auction.
So, are any of your others like local landmark? I mean, I see the desert one there, but any like things you see in Independence that interest you, or is it mainly just visions? Or
some of it's just a visual thing that I come up with. Sometimes I just find, Google just different photos and look at stuff. I try to, as I was telling Jim earlier, I try to make my paintings, if I'm trying to look at a picture doing it, or if I'm watching a video, I try to make mine look a little bit different, do something a little bit different to my painting. And but sometimes I just come up with stuff in my head.
Sure.
And I can be sitting there watching television, and all of a sudden something pops in my mind, and boom.
Yeah.
So.
Now, did you ever try any of that drizzle paint where you just scatter drops of paint on the wall?
All it did is made a big grizzly mess all over my stuff. So.
That's what I think too. But,
some people are very talented at that.
You think there's a talent to that, really?
In some ways, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I mean, when you can see somebody that actually makes create something out of how they're doing that, where you can actually see a picture inside of that or something.
Yeah.
Just spinning color, it's kind of like tie-dye.
Well, yeah, because I catch more crap for that because we had an artist on and I criticized, but I questioned whether that was really art, and people still talk to me about that I shouldn't have done that. Why would you just ask you?
Sure.
I said I'd like to see a picture of a horse or something, instead of just dots and drizzle.
Sure.
And so I just thought, well, I would ask.
Yeah, I've done a lot of different animals. I do a lot of landscape type paintings.
Yeah.
I do a little bit of abstract painting.
Like I always thought portrait work would be very difficult. Do you do anything
It
like
is.
that?
Actually, I did my very first portrait last night.
Oh, okay.
I've been wanting to do one for a long time, and I finally got the courage up. And I did one of my grandson last night, and it's posted on my Facebook page. So if anybody wants to
What
see
is your
that,
Facebook?
It is TK's Art.
Okay.
And I have all my paintings on there. So
Now, when you're painting like a face, and it's a flat surface, it appears that the nose is.
Yeah, you have to.
How did you learn how to do that, or is there? I said there's got to be a technique to that.
there is. It's just a matter of how you blend the colors.
Okay.
Instead of having just a flat skin tone color, you have to have the highlighted where the cheek marks are and things like that. And it takes some talent to do.
I would think so,
And,
yeah, because to me it's
and that's
amazing.
one of the reasons why I've shied away from
Well,
it.
yeah,
And,
I don't blame you. Yeah, I always thought that would be terribly hard. And
Yeah,
especially if someone hired you to paint their portrait and they look at it and go, who's that? I say, well,
Yeah.
it's true.
But yeah, so I was happy with the way it turned out.
Well, good.
It resembles who I was trying to do a little bit, but all in all, I did real good on the features and things like that.
Now, do you
So,
pencil sketch or anything like that? Or
usually on something like that, I'll just do the outline maybe of the body, but. And that's how I do a lot of some of them I just freehand paint, but sometimes if I want to make sure I've got something at the right angle, I might draw it out real quick, just the outline.
Sure.
The combination of
So would you take a class from him, Dale, if you were to offer a class?
Well, I don't know. I'm one of the, I just fear I have no talent, but looking at his history and what he's done, why? Because I would like to learn how to draw a thing. I think it'd be neat. Because I took drafting, I could draw a building, but I can't really make it look
I
like
can't
anything.
draw stick people, but but I tell people, they say that, I wish I had the talent you have, and I don't really feel like I have any special talent. I just decided, one day I'm going to give it a try. So I think if anybody sits down, they can do it. I guess it's just a matter of how much you enjoy it and that kind of thing. And
Well, I have a terrible history with art projects, and so I don't know. I had a second grade class. I teach my own art, and we were doing this paper folding thing. And I looked through it and I read through it. And I thought, okay, no problem. So we go and I talk to the kids, and we get a piece of paper and we fold and we fold and we fold. And finally I look at it and I just say, okay, now just pass the wastebasket. I was in art class that day because I was looking at it. It didn't look like anything like the picture, and I had no idea what to do next. So I passed the wastebasket. And so.
Mary Steuben was working for us last summer, and she had a death in the family, couldn't make it. So she said, come over, I'll teach you how to do it.
Yeah.
And I went over, and she had written everything up for me, and this is what we're going to do. And the students did a lot better than I did.
My son was in middle school, junior high, and he did an art project. Maybe it was for Mary Steuben. He did his art project, and he brought it home. And we looked at it, that's fine, and then it was just construction paper or whatever, and we just, put it in the trash. And the next day he said, where's that giraffe or whatever? And we said, well, I'm supposed to take that back to school. Oh, so we got out and brushed it off. They put it in the art show, we got a red ribbon. So I thought,
What do you find the most joy in doing? I mean, we see desert behind you. We see a city street. We see a frog there, the mill, a barn. What do you find most joy in doing?
That's a very difficult question. I guess I've really, for the most part, enjoyed doing every painting that I do. I'm in that mood. I do most of my paintings at nighttime, and it's just very relaxing, and just whatever comes to my mind, I just decide to paint, and I feel so comfortable. So I guess I really don't have they're all my favorites to paint.
Right.
Do you ever get in a zone where you don't want to quit? You just want to keep going and going?
Oh, yes, yes. I did that last Friday night. I started about 9:30, and by 2 o'clock in the morning, I had 4 paintings done. So, I keep telling myself, well, I'll paint this one, and then I got to get to bed. I got to get up early for the farmer's market, and then, oh, shoot, I should paint this. And, so, yeah, that happens a lot.
And do you ever find yourself looking at something you've done before and say, oh, this needs a little line here? And,
all the time.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that the other day. I sometimes rush myself, and as soon as I get done with the painting, the first thing I do is take a picture, and I put it on my Facebook page, and then I'll be looking at it a couple hours later going, boy, I should have made that arm a little bit different, or I should have done this. And sometimes I have gone back and changed a few things. But yeah, that I can always critique them.
Oh, yeah, I think it'd be a real temptation.
Yeah.
The John Casey was one of the artists at Watermelon Day.
Okay.
And a friend of his, I was talking to a close friend of his that goes to his house regularly, and he will go there, and there will be multiple paintings in the garbage. And he'll say, John, this is wonderful. Oh, no, that's bad. Just get that out of here. And he throws away at least half of his paintings that he does.
Now, I don't throw mine away, but I painted over a lot of them. I'll go, hey, that's not, nobody's going to like that. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
And, I'm unhappy for whatever reason, and I'll paint over it. This actual canvas here was a painting of, I want to say it was a wheat field and some trees. And it had hung in my house for quite a while, and my wife had given it to my sister-in-law, and she called me up a few weeks ago, and she said, hey, I've got this painting. Do you think you could paint over it? And so I brought it home, and that's what I turned it into.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I've got a small box at home. It's got several paintings in it that I've either used for practicing, or they're just not the best paintings, so I'll paint over them. And
Go ahead.
What do you think would be the hardest part about taking somebody like me and say, okay, we're going to paint this barn or something, or paint something? How do you get people started? Or
well, that's a good question. I guess, just trying to get you to relax and just take a good look at what you're doing. It doesn't have to be exactly what you're looking at. If your lines aren't quite straight, or don't worry about those things. Just paint, and it'll come to you.
Okay.
And if that answers your question, I guess.
Well, so the picture's in there somewhere. You just have to find
But yeah, you just got to get comfortable, and don't worry about doing everything perfect.
Sure.
Just paint it, and you can always, if you want it to be perfect, you can always go back. It also gives it your touch when you do it. Like, it's more personal to you.
September 7th. It's a Saturday at the Independence Farmers Market.
Yeah.
At a little bit, between 8 and 9. He's setting up right there looking to the north of the mill. And the Steve Brown Arts Center is sponsoring him that day, and he's going to paint in public, so people can come and watch him.
Yep, come on out.
What, does that make you nervous with having people watch your work, or it would me? I guess.
I play a little guitar too. So it doesn't really bother me. In fact, I kind of enjoy it. It kind of gives me a little inspiration. So I'm really looking forward to it. So,
well, I think that would be great. Is that 8 to 12, right in the morning?
8 to 12, right there at the mill on the west side, or on the west bank. West
Bank doing the north end of the picture.
Okay, all right.
So we also have you scheduled. You're going to, while you were with us, this comes out next Wednesday, or next Monday. So you were with us as Emily Ann Bauer saying at the Tourism Center, and you showed some of your art and sold some of your art there.
Yeah,
so,
awesome.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what. Then
the
also
Littleton Chatham Chili Supper. He's going to be at that too.
That's
Chili
in
Supper in Littleton.
That's in November 1st.
That's in November 1st.
November 1st.
Yeah. And then he's going to have some of his art posted in M's coffee shop.
Oh, well, I know where that is.
It goes up this week, actually.
Yep.
So
looking forward to that. So.
We will. So he has been very kind to the Arts Center.
Sure, that's great.
So what are you working on tonight? What do you have
Well, I'm
planned?
trying to do a kind of a portrait somewhat. It's a picture that was taken of me and my grandson fishing a couple weeks ago. And it's a picture of him and I sitting in the grass, and he's holding it, or I'm holding his fish, but he's got his pole. But, so I'm working on that. I'm working on a little chocolate lab puppy. So those hopefully will be done tonight. So.
Okay.
Did I see on Facebook that your grandson was on John's Big Old Fish
He was
on
John's
Channel
Big
9?
Old Fish, yes.
Oh, that's
Yep.
cool.
My grandson Sutton, yep.
Yeah. So, what advice do you have as an up and coming artist? What advice would you have for new artists?
Mainly enjoy what you're doing. No matter what you do, whether it's painting or a craft you're doing, any kind of art, you have, if you're enjoying it and you're passionate about it, people are going to enjoy it, and that's just going to inspire you more to do things. So just be happy with what you're doing, and don't worry. Like I was at first, I was scared people wouldn't buy my paintings. They would look at it and go, gosh, I could do that.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid. Take it to that next level, and you'd be surprised. I just started painting since this last November, and it's just been crazy, the responses that I've gotten. And I think the thing that makes me or inspires me more to paint more is the comments I get. They come by. They don't necessarily have to buy my paintings, but just stopping by and the comments I get. And it's really cool when I hear somebody put a story to a painting that I've done. We had a lady the other day at the Jesup Farmers Market painting I did of a sailboat. And she looked at that and she asked me if I sailed, and I said no, but I said, looking at that, it makes me want to. And she said, well, my husband and I, we enjoyed sailboating for 40 years. And she said, it's really odd that this morning this came up on my Facebook page as a memory, and she showed us a video of her and her husband out on her sailboat in Lake Michigan.
Oh, sure.
So, that painting went with
Meant
her
something for her,
story.
yeah.
Or I've done several cat paintings, and somebody will say, oh, that reminds me so much of my cat.
Yeah.
And or somebody will, oh, that looks just like my grandpa's barn on his farm. And so it's things like that.
Sure.
That, that means more to me than anything. So it's pretty special to hear all the comments.
All right. Well, Tim, is there anything if people would be interested in taking lessons from you? Would you like them to contact you?
Sure. They could either contact me through my Facebook, through a messenger. That'd probably be the best way, and we can see what we can come up with.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming
you.
tonight.
Yes.
Thank you, Dale. Thanks, Jim, and appreciate you guys having me here.
Well,
And we're back. We are the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network, and we're coming to you here from the Co-work 591 in beautiful downtown Jesup. I'm Jim Gillespie. We're here with co-host Dale Rueber and our producer Blake Tempus. And Dale, it's about time to go back to school. Since COVID, there's been an issue.
what's that?
Attendance has been down a lot in
okay.
a lot of schools.
Yeah.
School's not as important as it was.
Yeah.
And I was reading this earlier. Attendance matters. Missing a day of school here and there may not seem like much, but absences add up. When a student misses 2 days a month, they will miss 20 days a year. They will miss...
Leave that in.
That's a fine.
Yeah.
That's a fine there. I will put that in the fine jar. But anyhow, they will miss 30 hours of math over the school year. They will miss 60 hours of reading and writing over the school year. Mm-hmm. They will miss over 1 year of school by graduation. When a student misses 4 days a month, they will miss 40 days a year. They will miss 60 hours of math over a school year. They will miss 120 hours of reading and writing over the school year. And they will miss 2 years of school. It's frightening.
Yeah, it is.
What they miss. So the hacks for school. What do you have? What advice do you have for students? Let me give one.
Okay.
Come to school.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
be in school. You
Yeah.
don't have to be the greatest student. You don't have to be an A plus student. If you're there, you're going to be a success.
Well, you'll get something out of it.
You will.
You don't have to ask a question or anything. It's helpful if you're an engaged learner.
That's right.
But you can get something out of it. I would certainly hope so.
Yes. So that's first one.
Okay.
The second one is have your materials with you. I mean, it sounds pretty fundamental, but I mean, if you walk in with your homework, if you walk in with your books, if you walk in with a pen or pencil,
And all they need is a laptop anymore, it seems like, or something like that.
yeah, a laptop, you are set. The third one is sit up by the teacher.
See, I was going to say, sit to the front of the class.
Yeah. You know, if you really want to learn, show an interest in learning and be up front there and be involved, because if you sit to the back, there's too many things that can distract you, plus you're not going to hear, you may not see something. So that is the third one.
I don't know if it was a class size, but the first year I was up here, I had 30 kids in a 5th grade class, and I would go home and say, I don't think I said a word to this kid and this kid and this kid, the ones that sat at the back. If they didn't initiate something, I never got to them as far as having a conversation, because you had 30 kids. And so I always felt bad about that. And so pretty soon you're zoning in on, okay, I'm going to make sure I talk. And so I had this one kid, he was a very quiet kid, and we were having this discussion about something. And I got to the point, I said, okay, you need to answer this question, yes or no. That's all there is to it. Absolutely would not do it. I had to get his mother in and talk to her about it. But it was the strangest thing. But he just wasn't going to communicate,
Right.
And I said, okay, this is very simple. Yes, you agree, or no, you don't. Yes or no. And he would not make a decision. He wouldn't verbalize. So when you got those huge class sizes, and I know in high school it's a little different. You're more used to it, but that was rough.
I can imagine. It was I used to tell my students every day, and this is the fourth one. Speak with the teacher every day.
Yeah.
I mean, if the teacher doesn't speak with you, you go out of your way to speak with them.
See, and that's so important.
Yes.
It's so important.
Yes.
And that's something I would never do as a kid.
Yeah.
I never talk to the teacher unless I had to.
Too easy, because it was easy to hide if they don't see you.
Yeah.
I used to give my students a hard time. You're trying to be a rabbit.
Yeah.
The rabbit that sits there and looks at you and thinks you don't see him.
Yeah.
I see you.
Well, I used to tell them, now, just because you can't see me doesn't mean I can't see you. Because they would crouch behind the kid in front of them,
But this is, in my mind, this is real important to me. Every day, every class, I went out of my way, and I told my students this. I was going to make eye contact with you. Look me in the eye. At least, if nothing else, you may be somewhere else, but look me in the eye.
Sure.
If I look at you in the eye, so I know you're here.
Yeah.
And know that I'm making contact with you. By the end, I would start the day, I'd be at the door and fist bump or something, so that I made contact with everybody.
Yeah, so you had to do that so I did it in the morning.
Yeah.
And you had to do it every period, probably,
Right.
because you had a new group coming in. And that's a very important thing to do with kids. And so
It is. It's
one of the things and there was something I had to ask them every morning, like lunch count or something. And I would call their name, and I required they either said yes, please, or no, thank you. And it was amazing how quickly they all did that with no complaint, no problem.
Right.
Instead of this and yo and this kind of stuff, it was either yes, please, or no, thank you. And that was really nice. That's the way you talk to people, So, but
I like that a lot. And another is, just because another person is doing wrong doesn't mean it's acceptable for
Right.
you to do wrong.
yeah.
It is.
If it's wrong, it's wrong. And I always say, and I would say, different doesn't mean wrong. It just means different. That was one of my things too.
Yeah.
It's not wrong because it's different. It's just different.
It's amazing how over the years, the way I saw grading and success in the classroom.
Yeah.
I was proud to be flexible. So those are some hacks. The school year's coming. If you haven't registered, please register with the school. It's not like the old days where everybody's got to go and register with Mrs. Snyder and Mrs. Harding. And,
Well, I would just remind anybody that's listening that worked at the school and is now retired or just not working at the school anymore, the old teachers, we call them, that they're anybody that worked for the school. We always meet for lunch at the Pizza Ranch, first day of school, to celebrate our not having to go back to school. And so that's August 23rd. It's a Friday, 11:30 at the Pizza Ranch Independence. Well, love to have a big crowd. Always nice to get caught up with everyone we used to work with. And I was always very impressed in 32 years I worked up here at Jesup, how close people were and how well they worked together. It just there were not, at least in our little area, not a lot of sibling rivalry or any of that kind of thing. And I've heard of schools where teachers taught the same grade and had classrooms across from each other for years and never talked to each other. They didn't like each other.
Oh, wow.
And heaven help you if you taught a lesson that was their favorite, that was their thing. That was bad news. So we were so fortunate up here to have such wonderful people to work with, and just everybody got along real well.
Okay.
So anyway, love to see you people again. August 23rd, 11:30.
Thank you.
Pizza Ranch, Independence.
This is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. So Dale, we talked about Iowa football last week. I've got to ask you this. I know you're an Iowa Hawkeye fan, although you graduated from UNI.
Right.
Do you root for Iowa State?
I root for Iowa State when they're playing anybody except Iowa. I guess. Yeah. If you have Iowa in your name, then I'm for you. Okay.
So do you root for anyone outside the state of Iowa?
No, I don't care about any of them at all.
You don't?
No. Well, if you've ever been I have been twice to a University of Michigan football game in the big house, 112,000 people. And every time there's a home game there, sometime during the game, they will give the Slippery Rock score. And Slippery Rock is a small school somewhere, and I read about this when they started back so-and-so, and it's just a tradition. But they always give the Slippery Rock score.
Really?
Yes. And I thought that was so. If I ever could go see Slippery Rock play someplace, I probably would, because I don't know. But I think it's a very interesting thing that they do at the University of Michigan. So
we need to find that. Blake, get on that. Will you look up Slippery Rock College football, will you? And in the meantime, so I'm like you, Dale, although I'm like this. Let's say you're an Iowa football fan,
right,
and they're playing Iowa State. I'm rooting for Iowa State.
Okay.
If you're an Iowa State football fan, I'm rooting for Iowa. If you're a UNI fan and they're playing someone, I'm rooting for that team.
Okay.
I'm an instigator.
Okay, I was just saying, you're just going to cause trouble, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm like you. I like different teams. Did you find?
What was our question?
Slippery Rock University. Where's it at? And
Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And how
who
large
do they
a school
play?
does it say, or like enrollment or anything like that? Right offhand?
I don't have that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Their stadium seats 10,000.
Okay. We can do our own research.
Division two.
Division two. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
No, I brought my son up to be a Hawkeye fan, and he has season tickets and this sort of thing for football. But he went to Drake University because they had the degree that he wanted. So Iowa basketball comes to play at Drake University, and it's a televised game. And so they show the student section for the Drake University. They all got their white shirts with the blue D or whatever it is. And there's my little black and gold son right in the middle of that. And I got a couple phone calls for you. Hey, did you see Chris? Oh, yeah, I did. So he had more guts than I ever would have. But he said, hey, I'm not going to change my loyalty just because I go to a different school. So it was a lot of fun. So
that would be. That's cool. All right. So you believe you can cheer for different teams?
Well, sure.
Okay.
No, I like to see people do well, and I think Iowa kind of has an underdog feel about it for the rest. There's East Coast schools or whatever, and so I like to see them get their comeuppance every now and then. So
Speaking of Iowa women's sports had a number of athletes in the Olympics this year.
Mm-hmm.
They had a women's basketball player played for the Nigerian team that made it to the final round made it to the quarterfinals. I believe, what is that? That'd be the round of 8.
Yeah. Well, that Gustafson
And the
was playing
Gustafson
for Spain.
played for Spain.
Yeah. I had to call my son, how is she able to play for Spain?
Yeah.
He said, well, she plays there in the off season, so she got on the team.
And then they had then there was a sprinter in, was it the 100 or 200 yard dash that ran track at the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
And she won the bronze medal.
Yeah, that was in the paper today.
Yes.
I didn't get into it. There's a couple Iowa women that are doing well in the Olympics, or at least, okay, the one girl finished 9th in her race, and she was an Iowa girl, went to Iowa. Even though she finished 9th, that's the fastest time any U.S. woman has ever ran that race.
Really?
She holds the United States record now.
Wow.
Even though she finished 9th in that race.
You don't know what the race was?
I cannot tell you. I mean, I would if I knew, but
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
remember,
Okay. All right. Dale, you've got some health news for us.
Well, yeah, and kind of good news, too. This was in the Courier Tuesday, August 6th, and the Waterloo Courier, and it's about a report from the U.S. News and World Report. They looked at 2,800 counties nationwide, and they ranked the first 500. The rest of them, they just put NR, not ranked. Okay, like Blackhawk County did not get ranked, and Tama County did not get ranked. Bremer County, that's where Waverly is, they came out in the 9th position out of almost 3,000 counties, and Grundy County was at 18, and then 2 other counties, Sioux County was number 4, and Dallas County was number 6. So they were all, those 3 were in the top 10, and then Grundy was 18. But what got me was that Buchanan County turned out to be 155 out of 2,800 some counties, which I thought was remarkable.
That's very
and,
good.
Iowa in itself has one of the highest average overall community level scores, along with Rhode Island and New Hampshire. And 65 of the 99 counties in Iowa made the top 500. I thought was commendable also.
But then you give a reason why probably they may not be involved, or they shouldn't be involved. You said something about they didn't check the water quality.
No, it was just one where they did not rank. If you were above 500, they just put you're not ranked in that quality. And the bad part here is that none of the counties in or surrounding the Waterloo-Cedar Falls metro area ranked in the environmental category, which analyzed air and water, natural environment, and natural hazard. And only 20 counties ranked above 500 in that category, which means that air quality, soil quality, water quality, that sort of thing is still hurting. Because when it came to the environmental category, we did not score well at all. But we did score well in like the population health and equity. Where's the other one? Food and nutrition and public safety and community vitality were all the ones we scored in and scored well. And so I thought that was really good news. It's bad news still. We know we have to work on the environment. I mean, the whole state of Iowa does. But as far as this other thing, for Buchanan County, I was really surprised because, we're kind of a small populated county, and at one time or other we were a rather poor county in some ways, and so it just looked to me like they're doing pretty darn well. So, so I'm real proud of Buchanan County that we have a nice thing going here. Out of 3,000 communities to rank 155, that's pretty darn good.
That is.
So anyway, I was very interested to see that in the paper today.
The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, has flying a drone ever interested you?
Only the fact that I read when they first started coming out about people flying drones and using it to spy on people. They would fly them over their neighbor's backyard to see their swimming pool, outside the window, so they could, have the camera look inside the house and everything. And my fantasy was of shooting them down with a shotgun, like you would a pheasant, just blast them out of the sky. Well, and I read a thing where you're not allowed to do that. And I said, well, if they're over my airspace in my backyard, I can think I could blast them. And so, but that's the only thing. I know nothing about. My one grandson has a small drone. It charges up and then it's good for like 10 minutes and not for very long. But we went out to a field and he showed me how he could fly it and move her up and down, and the camera was taking pictures and this sort of thing.
So I believe Dale, and don't give your grandson up. But I believe if you have a drone, what is it? All drones must be registered. So is your grandson's drone registered?
I have no idea.
Okay.
His parents are very law-abiding people, though. So if that's the law, I'm sure it is.
Except those that weigh less than 0.55 pounds.
Okay, and that would be his.
Yeah.
His is like a toy drone. It's just, okay.
Less than 250 grams
Yeah.
are flown under exception for limited recreational operation. Drones registered under the exception for limited recreational operations cannot be flown under Part 107. How much does it cost to get a 107 drone license? It costs roughly $175 to get your drone license.
Yeah.
To take it, and is administered by the FAA authorized center. We don't get any of your testing fee. The testing fee is non-refundable, so make sure you study before taking it. If you fail the exam, you will need to wait 2 weeks and take the test again. Let's see what else. What is the best drone you can fly without a license? Based on hours of flying time, we think the best drone for most beginners is the DJI Mini 3. It lacks collision avoidance sensors of the more sensitive DJI Mini 4 Pro, but its compact design, intuitive controls, and automated modes make it fantastic all-rounder for new pilots. What is the FAA drone license hard? Provided you meet the criteria, then you need to pass a 60-question test.
Okay.
It is not legal to shoot one out of the sky, Dale. So don't do that because it is private property.
Yeah.
But it is not legal for someone to spy on you either.
Yeah. Okay.
But here's the problem. You can tell the police, and police can choose whether or not to pursue that drone or not.
Yeah.
Well, by the time you get back, the drone is going to be gone.
Sure.
The other thing is, some drones now have sensors to follow. There was someone complaining that they were being followed by a drone. Mm-hmm. So they called the police. The police found the guy that was running the drone. And the guy was saying, well, I was just testing the follow device on his phone.
Yeah.
So you can do that. How much does drone insurance cost? About $650 a year.
And that's the person who's flying the drone would need that insurance?
Yeah.
In case of what?
In case it's wrecked.
Oh, okay. Not like for lawsuits or anything. But,
Yeah.
Oh, just as it's to cover the property.
Yeah.
Okay. KWWL, and I'm sure other news stations have a drone to cover story. Now, would they have to have one person that was licensed, or a corporate kind of thing, or?
That's a good question. Let's see.
He doesn't need an answer right now. But
I don't know.
That's why I was wondering how they do that sort of thing, because somebody has to be responsible, you would think, and so.
Can you really make money with a drone? In addition to aerial photography and videography, there are other services drone pilots can offer, such as surveying, inspection, and search and rescue operations.
Or if they're peeking in the right window, they could make good money.
You can get in trouble for that, Dale. I recommend you don't do that.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're keeping us on the straight and narrow here, because
you're not supposed to fly over anyone else's property but your own.
Or like my grandson just in a public area, it's a public park. That would be okay, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Legal or not legal? Here's the question for you. Can
Okay.
you use a drone to look for a deer that you shot?
I would bet you could.
No, you can't,
You can't.
because it goes against the sport of the game.
So rather they not find the deer that they have shot. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You would think that, well, that'd be better. You'd find the creature, but you're leaving it for wildlife to eat it. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. I've always thought I'd like a drone, but my problem is I live close to so many trees I'd crash it first day.
Yeah.
So
trees and wires are the.
Yeah. I used to fly a lot of kites, and I was getting kites in the trees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we had two older kids that always flew kites in our baseball diamond when I was growing up, and then they would get their bows and arrows and shoot arrows at the kites.
Oh, really?
And us little kids, we would run out there and get the arrows and bring them back to them. You know, we worked the hardest of anybody.
Yeah.
It's a wonder nobody got killed. But,
You're right. So, this is Steve Brown, Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, you've got news on a local boy.
well, yeah, if you look at the August 3rd Waterloo Courier, they had a huge article, a couple pages, and a lot of print and a lot of quotes. They talked a lot to Jack Miller, who is the Courier Male Athlete of the Year. And kind of interesting because his mother was the Gazette Female Athlete of the Year way back when. And it's interesting, they talk about his parents, and his dad played ball, but the mom really played ball. She was an All-American softball player and this sort of thing. So,
Right.
But what interested me the most about the article is that this kid was still is, and he's going to play basketball at Upper Iowa this fall, starting his freshman year. But that he would go early to school, shoot some basket, had a break somewhere, shoot some basket. He was always working on it, and do 4 sports at the same time, and it was just his way of life. Mm-hmm. And he enjoyed it, and he was good at it, and he worked at all of them. And it's talking about, we talked about a book a few weeks ago, but he put in the work. He put in the hours and hours and hours and became exceptional in several different sports. And plus he was, physically gifted, I'm sure,
Right.
but he got interested at a very early age and worked at it. And he wanted to be very good, and he turned out to be very good. So it paid off for him in the long run. And I've seen him play basketball, mostly in some baseball. The kid is really good. It's okay, but he's not even. He could not play basketball for Iowa State. They would not. They didn't look at him, I'm sure. Or if they did, they didn't recruit him. Iowa State didn't. You and I didn't. The leap from being an exceptional high school player to a Division I college, it must be huge.
Right.
It's just got to be huge. And so I've seen kids play that. Man, that guy's really good, but then he never plays for a big school or something. He just. Yes, I saw Rafe LaFrance when he was in high school, and I said, "Yeah, I bet he plays."
Is he the best player you ever saw in high school?
Well, for that size, for that position, he'd have to be, yeah. Because really in high school, pretty much unstoppable because he was taller than almost everybody else, and plus he was skilled.
Right.
He wasn't, and you see guys that we had a kid in Owine, and he was taller than anybody in the school, but he had no skills. He was awkward and never smoothed out, and so he never played that much. Even though he was quite tall, slender and tall, he never had the skills because he just was not coordinated the way you have to be, and so through no fault of his own, that's just the way he was. And so it takes more than height. You have to be able to have a fluid body motion or whatever. And it's sort of, I don't know if you ever try to teach a kid how to throw a baseball, and you notice major leaguers, they all seem to throw it a little bit different arm angle, this way, that way. And I always say, I'm sorry, but I don't know. Either you can do it or you can't. I don't know how to show you or even tell you how to throw. I mean, I show you how to grip the ball and where to put your arm and this sort of thing. But unless you got that, you don't have it, And so it's something like that. Some people got it and some people don't.
You're right. You're right.
But this Jack Miller, it's been a real pleasure and what an asset to this community for a long time. And I hope a lot of people follow his career through Upper Iowa. I'm sure they will because he has a lot of family members and I'm sure a lot of friends too. And it seems like if you read over the last couple of years, he's building a real good team up there. At least he's getting some really solid Iowa players. And so, and that's...
Brooke McCown.
Yeah.
No?
I remember him when he was in high school. He played at Jesup a few times, and the crowd, he was high, super scorer, and the fans would be on him so bad if he missed a shot when they played at Jesup. It was, but that kid, he just kept bouncing the ball, running up and down, and shooting away, and pretty soon he's got 30 points, and so he never was faced, and he ended up playing for you and I, and so he probably was the best guard type player that I ever saw as far as being able to go on and play at a higher level. And they completely, I always thought, I never agreed, they completely changed his game at UNI, where they really made him a passer and this sort of thing. I thought, that's really a waste of talent as far as I was concerned. But, they know a lot more about basketball than I do. But I just was very surprised that you have the number one scorer in boys basketball history, and then you're going to try to make a passer out of him and not let him put the rock up 4 or 5 times in a quarter or whatever. So, I don't know. Seems strange to me that they wasted his talent.
This is Steve Brown, Arts Center Podcast Network. A few library news. Don't forget that every Thursday at 10:30 at a Little Tot Story Times, at 10:30 a.m. for song, stories, and more. The Spice Club for August, although is fresh mint. Dale brought that in last week. Did you use that?
No, I still have it though, but we haven't used it yet. Don't forget to wash it. It says on there hasn't been washed, so you need to wash it.
Okay. Don't forget Exercise with Friends is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 8 a.m. in the library community room for 45 to 60 minutes. Arts and Scraps. Get your creative juices flowing every Friday until school starts. I think you have one more time. That's this Friday. So get in there. Creature Feature. We welcome naturalists and special critters from Fontana Park. I'm heartbroken, Dale, and you will be as well. I was talking to Becky, and Fontana is struggling to find meadowlark butterflies for the libraries. Usually they give 2 or 3 butterflies to the libraries. They can't find any. They're bringing in 2 or 3 to show, and they're leaving with them this year.
You know about monarch butterflies?
Excuse me. Monarch butter.
Because that's something I wanted to ask people. If you know, because I plant a lot of flowers around my house.
Yeah.
For butterflies, and I have not seen one monarch butterfly all year.
No.
And it's very disturbing to me because I used to teach a class about monarch butterflies. We used to go out and collect caterpillars and feed them and watch them make the chrysalis and hatch out, and then we'd take them outside and put them on a plant, watch them dry, and then they'd fly away. And we used to, sometimes 20 a year, now you can't. It's tough, and so I don't know. But I'm worried about the monarchs because their numbers are down every year. But I have not seen one.
So
I was going to ask people if you do know of one, or if you not know one, but if you've seen any, why let me know or let you know or something just to kind of ease my mind. But now you're telling me that they're not, because usually Fontana has a display case that they put caterpillars in, and you can see the chrysalises there, and they hatch out a lot of them. But you're saying they're not finding them.
They're not finding them. Yeah. They're Becky was telling us that they were coming in today actually and talking about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Don't forget the Who Killed Becky Burke murder mystery. They killed her. It was August 10th. Sorry, Becky. Yeah. STEM centers Wednesdays. There's 2 left from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. August 14th and August 21st.
And what's the other one besides STEM? Is that on that sheet?
It is not on this sheet.
Okay. Remember, that's the one I didn't know what the A stood for.
Yeah.
And my daughter was giving me crap today, this whole week about A stands for art. She found it ironic that the Steve Brown Arts Center people did not know that the A in that stood for the arts. I'm sorry. So
forgive us.
Anyway, I have to apologize to my daughter, but
was that Heather or Joy?
Yeah, it was Heather.
Forgive us, Heather.
Joy's always nice to me. Heather gets after me.
So don't forget the Books and Brews Book Club. Do you like books? Do you like beer? Join us in our Books and Brews Book Club. We talk about books and drink beer on the second Monday of every month at Allenton Brewing Company. This month they're discussing, actually right now as we speak, they're discussing Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. Yeah. The Chapter Chat Book Club. Book Club will meet Monday, August 19th at 1 p.m. to discuss Absolution by Alice McDermott. Say that fast. Absolution by Alice McDermott.
Don't even want to try.
Which is available at the JPL now. And then Movie Free Monday, Arthur the Kings, starring Mark Wahlberg, will begin at 1 p.m. I'm not a fan of his work. I'm not saying I don't like him. I just don't like his work. So,
okay.
This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, do you have anything else for us?
I talked about the Pork Chop Review a couple times for Farmers Day, and I thought we were priced out of existence, but I understand now that we are still negotiating with them, and so we have a chance yet to have a Pork Chop Review, unless they're looking at a long-term, sort of like being an artist in residence. They're going to be a theme park and just be there and not travel and just put on show at that theme park. So if that negotiation goes through for them, then they will not be available. But if they don't get that job, then who knows? So if you're a big fan of the Pork Chop Review, don't give up hope. We're still in the game.
There you go.
And so, you want to talk real quick about this little Steve Brown Arts Center events we have left this year?
Yes, please.
We're getting down to it. August 25th, the Otter Creek Animal Shelter anniversary over just north of Hazleton. And Barb Lake, artist, and there'll be musical entertainment also from 2 to 4.
By Allison Brown and Allison Bovey.
Okay. And September 7th, Tim Kemmerer, that you just heard on this podcast, will be doing art instruction in Independence, and where will it be at?
The
Farmers Market. Yeah,
Yes.
the Farmers Market. He'll be at the Farmers Market from 8 to 12 all morning long on September 7th. And if you want to watch him work and get a little instruction, why, he'll be there for you. October 26th, have a costume contest from 8 p.m. to midnight. And where are you doing that at?
We are in negotiations with a couple places right
okay.
now.
All right.
So we haven't decided that yet. We were going to do that at a place, and they have their own costume contest. They don't want us to get in the way.
Yeah. So, do you ever see, and I've never been to one where they do a cemetery thing on Halloween.
Oh, yes,
where they
yes.
have people dress up as historical figures from the town or whatever.
Right.
And the one Wrenchy girl was real big in that, if I recall. And I don't know if it was Cedar Falls or where she did that, but if I'm thinking right.
So Alan knows most everyone that is buried out in the Protestant cemetery out here, doesn't he?
Yeah, he went to school with all of them. So.
Well, would you ask him for a list of 5 to 10 famous people? Perhaps we can
Or
put
just
the-
like well-known people.
well-known
Yeah.
people that are buried in the
Okay.
cemetery.
Okay, November 1st, the Littleton and Chatham Chili Supper and Art event is from 5 to 7. And Tim Kemmerer, they have that burn your skin off or something, or it was, what's it called? It has a funny,
Green chili?
it wasn't green, it was worse than that. It was just something that was, you think, okay, if I eat this, my esophagus is going to just crumble into little ashes. So I did not try any because I'm very squeamish about it. But I like just regular chili. And
They have 5 different chilies.
yeah, from really good to really hot.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then December 7th, Jesup Winter Festival live podcast, and we did one of those last year.
We did.
And I was gone that day.
Yeah, you worked that out well.
Well, it's Pearl Harbor Day. I had to be home.
I understand.
Raising the flag with Bill Malton or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different events we have scheduled so far between now and December. So
All right.
hope you can take in one or all of those. Okay, that's what I have.
Okay. All right. Well, the Steve Brown Arts Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And if you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. Or if you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@SteveBrownArtsCenter.org or call 319-290-0241 and leave a message. I'm Jim Gillespie, and we're with Blake Tempus down there playing, what is that? You're playing TikTok.
Okay, I was going to say Pac-Man. That he wouldn't be playing Pac-Man.
I'm playing TikTok, and with co-host Dale Rueber and our producer Blake Tempus. And as always, we'd like to thank Kelly C. Haas for allowing us to use the studio. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your day. And remember, each day is about little victories.
Very much so.